Okay, so in this video, we're gonna talk a little bit more about identification factors and why stories work. The first thing you need to realize is most people in this world, including you and me, we don't really know what's possible until we see somebody else do something. And I'll speak personally. I've learned a lot about what's possible through archetypes in movies. The very first movie I saw was Rocky, and that underdog, rags the riches archetype is really powerful in our world. It's something that a lot of people identify with, having to overcome something in order to become something. And so we look to other people's stories to see what is and isn't possible so that we can kind of determine where we want to go and why, or what issues, what problems, what limitations we want to stand toe to toe with in our own life and believe it's possible to actually overcome. So when people come onto your Facebook like page, or they see a dark post, when you get to that level where you're actually starting to advertise and really use Facebook for blasting your story out there and reaching new people to join your Beachbody team. When you're doing that, you're giving people the ability to see themselves in your circumstances, and that's really powerful. Now, it's also really important to realize that if you haven't achieved, the ultimate body, you're not rich, you're still dealing with a lot of limitations yourself. You're still able to talk about what those limitations are and what you're dealing with on a day-to-day in a day-to-day reality. People are going to be drawn into that. They're going to see themselves. You're going to as you'll discover in the slides that are about to follow, you're going to trigger something called mirror neurons. It's a physiological process that allows people to literally see themselves in your life, in your life's experiences. So when they see themselves in you, in your story, and in your life, they're going to be curious. They're going to be drawn into it. And that's why every day you're giving people the chance to see themselves in everything that you post. So everything that you post, that's why it's so important that it's real, that it's authentic, and that you're being vulnerable. Because if you're not, you won't trigger the mirror neuron effect that you're going to learn about in a minute, and people won't see themselves in whatever it is you're talking about, which means they won't take any kind of action. They won't contact you, and they definitely won't become a part of your Beachbody team, and they might even go somewhere else. So it's really important to identify as many factors, circumstances in your life that people are going to be able to see themselves in. And if you have the opportunity to boast specific results, then do so, because people are going to be able to see themselves in that and want you to help them achieve the same thing. That's how powerful stories are. There's a few more stories forthcoming in the slides that I think will really help you see how powerful stories are and what they influence people to do. And really, if we get down to it, that's what it's all about: influence and persuasion. But you can't influence or persuade anybody until you connect with them with your story, until they see themselves in your experience, because they won't look at you as an authority until that happens. But the moment that it does happen, the moment you've successfully helped people see themselves in your story, then you have the ability to persuade and influence them to become a part of your team. Now, this is important. When you persuade and influence somebody and you are coming from your authenticity, it's not sales. It's not sales in the way that we typically think about it. This is your passion. This is your life. This is your destiny. This is your future. This is your family's future. So when you're bringing people into this business, you're bringing them into something that you believe in. And so you should be, because of that, you should be able to open up, be vulnerable, and let people see as many identification factors in your story as you can, because you're helping them better their lives, and they're going to help you better your life by helping you create passive income. So stay tuned for the slides. Immerse yourself in this information. Stories are so amazing. They're so powerful. And your story is amazing. And your story is powerful. Let it come out because it will do all the heavy lifting for you in building your Beachbody business.
Stories are the backbone of human existence. They connect us, bring us together, and inspire us to achieve something more, something better, something different. In fact, other people's breakthroughs push and inspire us, you and me, to overcome our own self-imposed limitations. I'll give you an example that most of us are aware of to one degree or another. Jesus. Now, the story of Jesus is told many different ways. But at its core, Jesus' story is a tale about what's truly possible, about what's truly humanly possible. And it's a story that has single-handedly motivated billions of people throughout generations to literally devote their lives to him. That's how strong of an impact his story has had on people. That's how much they see themselves in the story of Jesus the Christ. His story has universally inspired people for hundreds of years to see themselves in his struggles and his breakthroughs, which I was just saying. Now, I'm not personally a religious person. I'd say I'm more, quote unquote, spiritual. I don't have to adhere to a certain dogma. But if I look at the story and teachings of Jesus objectively, without the politics, I can't help but be inspired by how he captured the imagination of so many people for so many years. That is an amazing thing. Another example is the story of Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games, the fictional character. Her story is totally different, and this is a movie. But movies can just as easily capture the imagination of people as real-life stories. Katniss Everdeen's journey of rising above evil and dictatorship has inspired millions of young women to discover their own inner heroine. But why? Why do stories work? Why do they inspire us to do things we'd never try without their influence? Well, in the last couple of videos, I talked about giving potential Beachbody coaches the chance to see themselves in your story so they can feel inspired by your challenges and breakthroughs and want to follow your lead. And the reason stories work is because of a specific type of brain cell. It's called mirror neurons. Now, mirror neurons literally force us to imagine ourselves in the story we're watching or hearing, if it connects or resonates, that is. If there are enough identification factors in it, which is why you need to really choose what identification factors you focus on so that you're deliberate and the type of person you're trying to connect with. I hope that makes sense. How many times did you imagine you were the lead character in a movie? Or how many times have you jammed out the music, pretending you're the lead singer? In essence, your mirror neurons are how you identify with other people's circumstances and stories, which means as a Beachbody coach, understanding mirror neurons is extremely important. Here's why. You get to choose the identification factors you focus on in your story, which also means, and I just kind of mentioned this, you get to choose who your avatar is. For example, I talked about having lupus in the last video, right? And using that as an identification factor helps people dealing with something similar or exactly the same. It helps them connect with my story. That's its whole purpose. But maybe that's not the part of my story I want to focus on the most. Maybe I just use lupus as the thing I'm trying to overcome so I connect with people who also have something they're trying to overcome. It doesn't have to necessarily be an autoimmune disease. In other words, I can focus on attracting people with lupus or other autoimmune diseases and use my story to bring them into my business. That's one way to do it. Or I can use lupus as a broader, here's my why, what's yours kind of thing. So they both work, they're both relevant, and they could both connect with people. But one is focusing on people who only have autoimmune diseases or specifically lupus, and the other is focusing on just that something that we have to always overcome to get to where we want to be in life, the kind of hero's journey archetype. You get to choose how you reach and connect with people. You get to choose your own personal branding and your why for being a Beachbody coach, which is a big part of what differentiates you from every other Beachbody coach. You get to choose your avatar by focusing on the parts of your story you want potential team members to identify with. So they're inspired to work with you and only you. And that's really important because you want people to work with who connect with you. That is what's going to drive you to help them become successful, helping you become even more successful. Now, I hope you're paying attention because getting as specific as you possibly can about your avatar will make it infinitely easier to reach them, connect with them, and turn more hot leads into your best performers. And every day is an opportunity to reveal something about yourself that will draw those people deeper into your life and brand and help them see themselves in your story. That's how you draw them into your business, and that's how you build them into being the leaders who are going to drive your passive income into the stratosphere. With that in mind, what aspects of your story do you want to focus on and why? Do you want to focus on a specific health problem you might have and are actively trying to overcome, like lupus or another autoimmune disease? Do you want to focus on specific goals, like losing a predetermined amount of weight? Do you want to focus on overcoming financial limitations and demonstrate your journey towards achieving abundance and freedom? Maybe your why is to retire husband or wife. Maybe your why is financial. Maybe your why is to beat a destructive food addiction. The bottom line is your why matters. It's what determines who your avatar is and how you, quote, enter the conversation already happening in your avatar's mind. So you can maximize the emotional connection you make with new leads and convert them into your top team members. And your story is what spoon feeds your why into people's lives. So they want to work with you and only you. And I'm going to end the video there, at least the slides there, but it is really important that people connect with your why because you need to have a foundation that helps you believe in the people that you're trying to help make into your top team members, into your top builders. So you need to believe in them. You need to believe in their why. They need to believe in your why. That's what creates the kind of connection and authenticity that's going to drive both of your profits and your results and the kind of people that you help and reach off the charts. Anyway, there's one more video coming. Stay tuned.